All right. Here she is. Let's give her a moment. I want everyone to gather around so you can listen, because many of us are finding out how our families were connected, and where we had a father and a son marry two sisters, and where the lineage has come from on one side, and then listening to the lineage on the other. On Joe, here we go.
Hello.
Hey, Auntie.
Okay. My little talk here is called Legacy. For those who don't know me, I'm Joanne Mays Chantel. I am the great-great-granddaughter of Isis Powell and the great-granddaughter of Nathan Powell and Isabel Powell and Shadrach Mays and Sarah Powell, aMAYSing. And I'm the granddaughter of Stephen Mays and Maddie Mays, I don't want to say that.
Okay.
And Clement Powell and Sarah Powell. And I'm the daughter of Joe Mays and Vivian Powell Mays. Now, I heard a minister recently preach about legacy and how important it is, whether good or bad. Fortunately, we have a great legacy left by our parents, grandparents, and so forth. I want you to know that you are your grandparents' wildest dremes. Vivian Powell and Joe Mays met in a small town in southwest Georgia called Blakely. They lived on opposite sides of town. And so, like a lot of people there, they met at church. She said when he died that she had met him on the church steps, and the last time she spoke with him was on the church steps. Because as he went in and sang his song, and he went on to be with the Lord.
Yeah.
He sang every day. He loved to sing.
Yeah.
Our grandfather, Stephen May, was a preacher and the first black school teacher in Early County. He died when my father was 8 or 9 years old. So he had to quit school and work the farm. But he had ambitions. And as he grew up, he got a job showing the movies in the theater, even though he could not sit where he showed the movies. After they were married, he and my mother were married, he and his family left Blakely and moved to Sampson, Alabama, where they stayed a couple of years and then moved on to Biloxi, Mississippi, where they stayed another couple of years. Next, he joined the Great Migration to Chicago. They didn't stay there very long and then moved to Gary, Indiana, where he stayed until he moved back to Georgia. All the while they were having children. 2 were born in Blakely, 1 in Sampson, Alabama, 1 in Biloxi, Mississippi, and the last one in Gary, Indiana. My grandmother had 5 children. She was married to Abednego Brown, and they had 1 daughter. Her name was Fannie Lee. He died in an accident. Then she married Reverend Stephen May. He had grown children at the time. His son Jacob married our grandmother Maddie's sister Mariah. So they both died young, and so Grandma Maddie raised their 4 boys along with her children. When we were growing up, we were just told that they were our uncles. I mean, you know, they would say your cousin so-and-so or your uncle so-and-so, but we never really asked how. Actually, they were our father's nephews and cousins at the same time. I have never heard why our name was changed from May to Mays, because when it was Shadrach, our great-grandfather, it's listed as May. But I just heard that they were referred to as the Mays boys, and I think it just got stuck. I don't know much about my mother's family, but they must have had a little money because she and her sister went to a private girls' school for a while in Cuthbert, Georgia. Her parents both died young. She joked and said that they were among the original Bloomer girls who played basketball. I don't know if Derek remembers, but she used to play basketball with him in the backyard when they lived here, and she was pretty good. The Powells were mostly entrepreneurs who owned their own businesses. Uncle Clem, the oldest, was a welder who went blind in his 40s. After that, he opened a grocery store, and amongst other things that he did after he was blind. He continued to work. Uncle Tanner was a contractor. There are still houses standing now that he built. Also, when we took Aunt Sarah to Blakely to put a stone, a headstone on our grandfather's graves, she remembered that Uncle Tanner at the age of 13 had built a wall around their graves, so that's how we knew where it was. So this is in our blood. We just have to claim it. We come from very proud people, full of love for one another, and who helped one another and passed these traits down. There was never a time when I was growing up that we did not have someone else living in our home. Also, many of our friends have fond memories of this, of eating at our house, and I'm sure all of our siblings have friends who have been affected by our parents in one way or another. This is just a little of our history. We all need to go to Blakely to see where we came from and to try their famous, world famous, Blakely fried chicken, although Martha said it's not as good as it used to be, but it used to be pretty good. Anyway, we have a wonderful legacy from very strong, proud, praying people. We can't even imagine, we can't even imagine what they had to go through and how they did it, but we can keep this legacy going. Once again, we are living our grandparents' and great-grandparents' wildest dreams, especially my niece Deidre, who's standing behind me, who has a new restaurant called 95 South in El Paso, Texas. So we're still doing that entrepreneur thing. I am sure they are looking down on our great accomplishments and all of us. Thank you very much.
I wanted to add one more thing since Joe was doing the history. This piece right here goes back a long, long ways. This piece belonged to my great-grandmother, aMAYSing. And if you look at this picture, it probably dates all the way back to slavery, okay? And she used to wash white folks' clothes. So I figured that this was the hauling for water pouring into that big old vat that had the firewood up under it that she could stir and clean those clothes. So Aunt Jo is the possessor of this beautiful piece. And it was on the mantle. Granddaddy said for years that he could remember from being a little child. So he's dating over 108 years old now. Okay, so this piece is a precious time piece for our family. So Aunt Jo, she has that.
Are you not finished yet? Oh, okay.
Could you go see some? Okay, and also, this is one of the blankets that Grandma Vivian made. And I have this piece. This piece she made for my mother. And I've had it over 35 years since my mom passed. So, it's still in good shape, as you can see. These things, some people don't understand. These are heirlooms. and they belong in our family, and they need to be taken care of, and somebody responsible to pass it on to. So that's all. I just wanted to share that part with the family, and I will put the pictures back over here by the entrance.
Hold on,
Thank you.
hold on. I just have to say what's going on. All right.
Thank you.
All right. This is what we're going to do. We're going to have Leslie is going to come forward, and she has trivia. You guys can go sit down now. Go sit down. We have trivia questions. Deidre, I'll be with you in a moment because Leslie needs this room right here. Go ahead. Go ahead and sit down. We have 5 trivia questions that we want you to be able to answer. And I think it's going to be really fun. It's going to be, and let me tell you something, Leslie is very good at these trivia games. When we were going through our COVID pandemic and we were meeting on Zoom, Leslie always had trivia to share with us. Deidre? All right, Leslie.
Thank you. All right.
Come on.
Good afternoon, family.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Oh, okay. I'm Leslie Brown Davis, and I am the daughter of Maxine Brown and Arthur Brown, Maxine Mays Brown. And I'm so excited to see everyone here this afternoon. So everybody, I hope, enjoyed Joe's family history moment, and to see how much you were listening. I have a few questions. Everything I'm going to ask is something that Joe talked about. And so if you get the first person to get the question right gets to pick from our lovely gift of tables. So the first question is should be pretty easy. So Vivian Powell and Joe Mays met in what city?
Blakely.
Yes. Mario. Mario got it right. Mario, come choose your gift.
You must have been hearing stories from
Mario's been listening all these years.
Mario married into the family.
He got it fair and square. He's been around long enough to know the answer. Okay, all right. So the next question is, okay. Okay, so this is okay, I need 2 answers. Joe talked about several cities where Grandma and Grandpa lived. Somebody tell me 2 of the cities, and yeah, raise your hand for this one. I see your hand already. I see one hand. I need 2 cities where they live. Wait, what was that? You got more than 2. You got more than 2. Chicago.
If we got Atlanta.
Wait. What?
Gary, Indiana, and
Hold on. You said Chicago, Illinois.
Technically, she won.
Biloxi? Yep. Okay, that's right. That's 2.
All right, come on.
Congratulations. Come on up and get your prize. All right. Okay. Okay, so Joe talked about Grandma and her sister, and she said they went to a private school in what city? Cuthbert, Georgia, yes. Come on up and get your prize. All right, 2 more questions. Okay, so she talked about entrepreneurship in our family and how several people own businesses. Somebody tell me one of the businesses that Uncle Clem, Uncle Tanner, Uncle Sanford, and Uncle Link, any business. James?
My dad had 3 gas stations.
Uncle Link had 3 gas stations.
Uncle Clem had candy stores and a store.
Okay, Uncle Clem had candy.
Uncle Tanner built houses. Who else did you say?
Uncle Clem had the grocery store. Uncle Tanner was a contractor. Uncle Sam and Uncle Link own the gas stations, what you said. All right, come on up and get your prize. Oh, I'm sorry, Martha, I missed your hand. I'm sorry. Come on up, Martha, you can get a prize too. Okay.
All right.
Last question. Last question. Okay, the last question. And again, this one's pretty easy too. So, Joe said the first place and the last place where Grandma saw Grandpa was where? At church. At church. I think, so you said church. And you were the first one to say it, so go get your prize. All right. Thank you all for listening and participating.
All right. We're going to have Uncle Jimmy come up.